Returning now to Vladimir Putin's threat to invade Ukraine. Let's bring in the Australian Strategic Policy Institute's Director of Defence, Strategy and National Security, Michael Shoebridge. Michael, great to have you with us. I spoke earlier in the show about the United States, in my view, lacklustre response to Putin right now in their attempt to try and encourage him to back down from war with Ukraine, threatening economic sanctions. Do you think Biden is doing enough here to try and pull Putin back from the brink of war?
Well, Sharri, I think you're right to have concerns. It is hard to look strong when you're reducing your people in the country that you're saying you're helping protect. The US has reduced the number of its embassy staff in Kiev, the Ukrainian capital, but they haven't closed the embassy. And of course, the Australian government has taken our remaining embassy staff and moved them closer to the Polish border, to Lviv instead of Kiev. So there's some mixed signals going on, but I think Putin is really the one setting the terms here, and he's wanting to change the order in Europe. He's wanting to push the EU and NATO and the US away from him and dictate how the countries on Russia's border can live.
Michael, in terms of this situation now, if America doesn't take strong action and should Putin just go ahead and invade Ukraine, do you think this will embolden Xi Jinping to invade Taiwan in an earlier time frame than he might have been planning?
Well, I think Xi actually doesn't want Putin doing this because while they had a lovely meeting in the margins of the Beijing Winter Olympics, I don't think Putin and Xi see eye to eye on what is going on in Ukraine. China's tried to tell everybody they don't want borders redrawn, and they've tried to say with Taiwan it's theirs anyway. So he's not fully behind Putin, but if he wants the world to unite against Russia and China, the best possible way of getting everybody to see them as enemies is for Putin to invade Ukraine. So I think it's more complicated for Xi than does it give him a free hand against Taiwan. I think it brings down a whole lot of trouble on Russia and China, and that's what's going to be in Xi's mind.
Yeah, that's a fascinating way of looking at it. Michael, I had James Patterson on the show a moment ago, and he made the point that Australia is very far away from Russia and Ukraine, and that was an explanation for why we wouldn't be sending military support, and that is understandable. You know, this is really Europe's domain. But for people wondering why it matters if Russia invades Ukraine, what do you say to that? Why is this war significant?
Well, we're seeing powerful autocrats try and damage democracies. And in Putin's case, there's some indications he wants to destroy Ukraine's democracy and run it like a part of Russia. Now, powerful autocrats in Beijing and Moscow being able to dismember smaller countries is bad news. It's as bad news for democratic states, whether it happens in Europe or in the Indo-Pacific. And of course, we've seen Russia and China cooperating. So it's in our interests here in Australia to support fellow democracies and to work together to not let these powerful autocrats dictate terms to us. That's why Europe matters to the Indo-Pacific. And that's why the Indo-Pacific matters to Europe.